Now that we understand what custom post types are, now we can get into actually working with them so that we can see firsthand just how powerful these custom post types are. So we're going to be using a plugin for this. So if we come along to our plugins and then add new, we're just going to search for custom post. And if you just type that in, we should see the custom post type UI as the first one here. And this is the one that we're going to be working with. And this is the plugin that is going to allow us to add as many custom post types as we want. We can see it has over 1 million active installations, so very, very popular. So let's go ahead and install this and activate it. And once that is installed and activated, we can then start creating our first custom post type. So with that all activated, we can see now that this has added a new option over here on the left hand side from our dashboard. And we can now start adding and editing post types, adding and editing taxonomies, and all kinds of other bits here. So let's now start adding our first custom post type. So to do that, we obviously want to select that top option. So add, edit, custom post type. Now the post type slug is going to be the slug that we want to use. That is what is going to be in the URL. So if we think about what we are trying to achieve with this web development website or personal portfolio website, we are going to want to showcase our case studies. So different websites that we have built for other clients, so other paying clients. So what we are going to be using this custom post type for is to create a new post type called case studies that we can then start using all of the custom fields within that post type as dynamic content within some of the template pages that we're going to build, so that we can display all of this information dynamically with just one template. Now, that might seem a little bit crazy just listening to that as I say them words, as I'm sort of telling you this. But as soon as you start working with these custom post types and custom fields and taxonomies, you're going to quickly understand just how powerful these are. So work with me here if you're following along, or if you're just watching because you want to apply something similar to your own website. We can start doing this now. So this is going to be a case studies. So I'm going to go ahead and select and type case studies as the slug. Now the plural label is obviously what this is as a plural. So this is going to be case studies as a plural. Singular is going to be a case study. Just like that. Now we can save ourselves a bit of time by selecting this populate additional labels based on chosen labels here. So if we select, or if we don't select that, let's first just show you. We have all of these additional labels here, which we would then have to type in ourselves. But if we just populate this by selecting that, it's going to take this plural and singular label that we've just put in here and add this down in these additional labels. So the menu name for this is now my case studies. I'm actually going to change that to case studies because I'm not fussed about calling them my case studies. It could be our case studies if we was an agency, but for the menu, which is going to be what appears over on this left hand side, I just want this custom post type to be called case studies. So all items, it's now changed it to all case studies, add new, and it's just going to be add new. So I mean, you could say case study there if you wanted it to be add new case study, add new case. Sorry, no, that wouldn't be case study, would it? Because that is the one below. The add new item would be add new case study, etc., etc. And you can see that these labels have been pre-populated just by selecting this button up here. So well worth doing, because it just means we don't have to type all of these out. So with all of those typed out, let's come down to the bottom. We've got a few more options here. So we can decide whether or not we want this to show on the UI. So if we want it to be displayed here, we can see if we want it to be public, all kinds of different options that we can add in. Some very kind of advanced options here if we're using the REST API, which we're not going to be using. We can exclude these from search. All kinds of things that we can do here. But the one that we care about is the menu icon just here. So if we scroll down to menu icon, these are going to be the icon that we see here next to the actual name of the menu. So this is going to be called case studies. So now what we can do is look for an icon that could resemble the custom post type that we're using. So we can actually search the library through Dashicon, which is just a library of icons that we can search for. So now we can actually start searching for any kind of icon that would be relevant to our custom post type. So this is going to be a case study. So maybe I want a person. There's not a person there. People. No people there. Oh, we have a man here. So we could add that as an admin. We can see that's being used here. So maybe I wouldn't do that. But I mean, you can absolutely carry on searching for the icon that you want. But for this, again, doesn't really make too much difference. I'm just going to go ahead and select this little home icon here as a case study. Or I could do the free home. Could do absolutely anything. I'm just going to do the free home for now and select that one. You can also go along to the Dashicon website and just use the URL there. So if you wanted to go to the Dashicon website, grab its class name, you can just paste that in here and it would then appear over on this left-hand side. So with that icon selected, we can now come down, we can see what the supports are. So if we read here, this adds support for various available post editor features on the right. A checked value means the post type feature is supported. So basically what this supports is going to do is when we actually come along to add in one of these new custom post types, it's going to have these options available from that editor page. So as it is at the minute, we will just have the option to add a title for this case study. The editor within the editor page, that will be available to use with this case study, and a featured image. And for what we're trying to do here, that is absolutely fine. That is exactly what I want. If it made sense, if you wanted to add an author, trackbacks, custom fields, anything like that as a support for the editor page. So imagine if we was to come to posts and then add new. From that page, we're going to be adding in our new custom post type, just like we do a post or a page or a product or anything else. You have to decide whether or not we want any of these additional supports. So if we come down now, we can see that there are also the option to add taxonomies, and we have the core taxonomies here, which is categories and tags. We're actually going to add our own custom taxonomy for these case study reviews so that we can start categorizing our case studies, not reviews, our case studies, sorry, so that we can start categorizing our case studies as e-commerce, as blogs, as portfolio websites, and all of the different types of websites that we have built. So I think it would be a good idea to add our own custom taxonomy, which we're going to do very shortly. So with all of that done, let's now go ahead and select Add Post Type. So I did notice there that case studies had already been used within a slug. So what I just did was change it to case studies with a double S. Now, of course, you're not going to have that problem, but we can see now if we come to our edit post types that we have that new custom post type that we just added. So at the minute, we just have the one, so we can only select this one custom post type. But what you will see is we now have this new option on the left-hand side. And you will be familiar with how this looks already. So if we actually click case studies now, we can see that we have this page here where we can add new, and we've got all case studies. And you will notice that it is looking just like our posts, just like our pages. You know, these are also custom post types. So where we have our posts with an all posts and add new, we now have case studies with all case studies and add new. And what you'll probably be able to figure out now is that this categories and tags are just taxonomies of this post type. So posts has two taxonomies of categories and tags. So let's now go along and add our own category, our own taxonomy, to the post type that we just created. So let's now come along to the CPT. We come to add and edit taxonomy. Now this time I'm going to select case study category. I'm going to do a double Y again just because it's probably been used before. So case study category as the taxonomy. Now the plural is going to be categories, or you could call this case study categories. And then we could do a case study category. Now, again, whatever it was that you was creating a taxonomy for whichever custom post type, you can choose to use that post type here. I mean, we can absolutely just have this as categories and category, and that would be absolutely fine because it's still going to be able to determine that this is a categories only to be used with the case studies post type. And we do that by using this attached to post type. So if we wanted to add this to any particular post type that we had existing, such as posts or pages, we can add this custom taxonomy to those post types as well. But of course, we don't want to do that. What we are looking to do is adding this to the new one that we just added called case studies. So that is exactly what we want to do. We want to make sure that we add that to case studies. So let's go ahead and populate additional labels again by selecting this. When we come down here, we can see that we've got all of this pre-populated as well. So that is all taken care of. Don't need to worry about any icons or anything for this one. But once that is done, we can then select add taxonomy. So that has now been added. And if we now come to case studies and hover over that, we can see that we have categories as our taxonomy. So now you can see what a custom post type looks like, the taxonomies, what that actually has to do with it as well, and just some other use cases for these custom post types. You could be, for example, I don't know, let's say Airbnb, Airbnb. If you wanted to add custom post types for holiday rentals, maybe hotels or villas or apartments. And basically we can then use those custom post types and display them dynamically like what we see in here with our templates that we're going to build. So let's just say that we are, let's say also an e-commerce website, for example, Friendly Turtle, one of my e-commerce businesses. The products that we have here is just a post type. That is all that is. And these new arrivals, all we are doing is filtering those post types by newest. So we're just displaying in this actual section here our newest post types called products. And that is exactly the same with our blog posts. So this feature here, fresh from our blog post, again, it is just displaying our most recent blog posts, which is a post type. So as we start adding new post types, be that holiday rentals, case studies, teachers and lecturers, if you was building a course website, we can start adding these and then start dynamically displaying the content of those post types dynamically across different pages of our website. So that is the power of custom post types, where we can really, really start to create any kind of website that we wanted. So just before we bring this lesson to an end, let's now just come along to case studies and select all case studies. Let's now say that we wanted to add a case study. So if we select add new, we will see here a page that we are familiar with. If you are just using the classic editor, which I know a lot of people do, myself included. In fact, I might go ahead and add that in a later lesson anyway. You'll be familiar with what this page looks like. We have our editor here. And if you remember, under the custom post type settings, we added just the categories. So we can add a category for this post type of case studies, and we can add a featured image for this. So if we was to add more options under them, the settings of the custom post type, then we would see those options appear over here on this editor page. But one thing that you will notice here is we do not see this edit with Elementor. So at the minute, we cannot edit a custom post type with Elementor. So before we can do any editing with the page builder, let's just go back now. We actually need to register this with Elementor. So to do that, we're going to come to Elementor and we're going to come to settings. And what you'll see is these post types just here. So at the minute, the page builder is only available for posts and pages. So let's say that we also wanted to turn it on for our custom post types, which is case studies. We want to select that there. Let's say we wanted it for landing pages. We could also select that there as well. So now if we save changes, come to case studies, come to add new, we will see that we can now start editing these case studies with Elementor. So that is how we add our new custom post types and our own custom taxonomies. In the next lesson, we're going to be looking at adding some custom fields to these post types so that when people are adding these new post types, they've got these extra fields that they can fill in, which we can then use dynamically across all of the different pages of our website. And again, that will make a lot more sense as we start working with it. So bear with me. In the next lesson, we're going to start adding some custom fields.